Welcome to Sissygram Spicy Story channel. If you like my voice, then hit the like button and do subscribe our channel for regular updates. Today I come up with whole new content of story. So, now let's start the story. It was a calm evening, and I had just settled onto the couch, reflecting on how chaotic my day had been. I was eager for a few moments of serenity, but I had no idea the night was about to take an unimaginable turn. The living room was dim, with soft shadows dancing across the walls, creating a warm and inviting atmosphere. Everything appeared perfectly in place. I thought I was alone. Leaning back to unwind, I absent-mindedly reached between the cushions of the couch. That's when it happened. My hand got stuck. At first, I tugged at it gently, assuming it wasn't a big deal. But the more I pulled, the more trapped it became. Frustration began to bubble up, and before long, I realized I couldn't free my hand by myself. Just as I prepared to get up and call for help, my stepson walked into the room. He was tall, strikingly handsome, and had an air of mystery that I'd noticed before but never dwelled on. His presence was commanding, and as he approached, a tension settled in the room that I hadn't felt before. "What happened?" he asked, his voice smooth and calm as he noticed my struggle. Nervously, I explained, laughing it off. But his response was a faint smile, one that held something I couldn't quite place. Kneeling beside the couch, his face drew closer to mine. His hands wrapped gently around my wrist, and he began trying to pull my hand free. The space between us grew smaller, and suddenly I was acutely aware of how near we were. Thank you for sticking with me until of this story. If you enjoyed it, please consider supporting us by liking this story or subscribing our channel. Okay, let's continue. His touch was careful, yet confident, and my attention fixed on the way his hands moved. The air seemed warmer now, the atmosphere charged. When his face was just inches from mine, I could feel the faint warmth of his breath on my cheek. My pulse quickened, but it wasn't because I was stuck anymore. There was something else, something unspoken, hanging heavily between us. His fingers brushed against mine, sending a shiver through me when he noticed immediately. His eyes flicked up to meet mine. And in that moment, the silence seemed to stretch endlessly. "Let me help you," he murmured, his tone softer, more deliberate. He leaned in closer, his body brushing lightly against mine as he adjusted his grip. The room felt stifling now, the proximity overwhelming. The familiar scent of his cologne enveloped me, but this time it seemed intoxicating. My hand was still caught in the couch, but it no longer felt like the focus of my attention. Finally, with one determined tug, my hand came free. Yet, he didn't move away. His fingers remained wrapped around my wrist, and we both froze. Caught in a moment neither of us wanted to end. "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice a near whisper, his gaze locked on mine. I nodded, barely managing to breathe, overwhelmed by a surge of unfamiliar emotions. I knew it was wrong. I knew I should move, speak, do something to break the spell. But instead, I remained still, drawn to the intensity of the moment. As if compelled by forces neither of us could resist. He leaned in, his lips hovering just inches from mine. The tension between us was electric, undeniable. When his lips brushed mine, it was tentative at first, like he was testing the waters. But then, something shifted. The kiss deepened, and I found myself responding without hesitation. His hand slid from my wrist to my waist, pulling me closer. I let him, not caring about anything except how he was making me feel in that moment. The kiss grew more urgent, filled with a hunger neither of us could deny. His hands roamed, exploring me, and every touch sent a thrill coursing through my body. It was thrilling and dangerous, all at once. Breathless, we finally pulled apart, staring at each other in disbelief over what had just happened. Yet, his faint, knowing smile told me this wasn't the end. It was the beginning of something neither of us could ignore. The rest of the evening passed in a haze of stolen glances and fleeting touches. The air between us charged with something unspoken. We both knew this was a line we should never have crossed. Yet the pull between us only grew stronger with each passing moment. That night, as I lay in bed, my thoughts spiraled with everything that had happened. It was wrong, so undeniably wrong, but I couldn't stop thinking about him, about the kiss, about how he'd made me feel. In the days that followed, the tension between us only intensified. Every shared space felt heavier, every accidental brush of hands more deliberate. I tried to carry on as though nothing had changed, but his lingering gaze told me otherwise. What had started as an innocent moment, a hand stuck in a couch, had spiraled into something far more complicated. There was no going back. This is where the story wraps up. Share your thoughts in the comments below. For more stories like this, be sure to subscribe to my channel. I'll talk to you soon. See you next time.